Hi Sayali, morning, how are you? Thank you for sending in your final essays. This is really good, really interesting. I've just been reading through it, absolutely fantastic. So nowadays green energy is becoming ever more prevalent in both developed and developing countries. Some argue they greatly reduce costs, yep, others believe serious threat. So I really like how you, on your planning, you understand the essay, you know what you've got to do, you've organised it in the right way, so one paragraph for one paragraph for the other. Okay. So in recent times, the proliferation of energy has dominated globally. You wouldn't have predominated, you just have dominated. And I think you need to have, yes, do you mean all energy? Do you just mean green? Do you just mean, you could have the proliferation of energy demand or energy needs, or the proliferation of green energy. I think you need to be specific about what kind of energy you mean here. Or the need, I love proliferation. Maybe the proliferation of energy needs or demands has dominated and the world uses renewable resources more than ever before. This is a comparative, so you need to have that. Some environmentalists, I'd go plural, believe green energy has proved effective in cost minimization and prevents the environment, protects, just typo there I think, protects the environment or prevents environmental damage. However, full stop before your capital letter there. Others argue that, don't need the comma, keep going. Others argue that this could have a detrimental effect on uninterrupted availability of energy supply. Good. I personally believe that green energy is economically viable and environmentally friendly. You could go here just emphatic, both viable and environmentally friendly. It is just a stylistic thing, adding emphasis there. This essay will argue what? You've either got to argue something or you've got to support this argument. This essay will or examine this argument. I think this is just literally take a little bit more time just to check it, okay? I know you have such a short time at the end, but if you have that 1 minute, 2 minutes at the end, just make sure when you read it in your head, that you're not making a mistake like that. On one hand, there's ample evidence which states that using solar, wind, or even tidal power significantly reduces the cost and helps in protecting the atmosphere, now, by minimizing the emission of carbon dioxide. Okay. Ample evidence which states that using solar, wind, or even tidal power significantly reduces the cost and helps in protecting the atmosphere by minimizing emission of carbon dioxide. Yes, absolutely. I think I'd just go costs, plural here, but don't worry too much there. This is because sustainable energy uses less fossil fuels and relies, energy, so you need a singular verb. I know it seems strange, but you do. Relies mostly on natural sources to generate power. For instance, the Indian government's installed solar panels in rural areas, which has drastically helped in reducing electricity bills by 80% and carbon emissions. I'd go plural here. Carbon emissions have fallen. I think you need a plural construction there. To 40%, improving, improving the overall air quality. Consequently, global warming could be reduced. Limiting carbon emissions might have less impact on climate change. Good. I like how you've gone into your might there. Otherwise, grammatically, that looks good. Could we be putting in a conditional? Remember how we talked about maybe adding in a conditional? So, global warming could be... So this final sentence, for example, you could have, if carbon emissions were limited globally, this might have a significant or dramatic impact on slowing climate change. So it might not seem very natural, but it is really important so that you can score highly in the grammar. And it's a very simple place to do it here. At the end of one of your paragraphs, not necessarily both the paragraphs, but the end of one of them, This is just, so this is a second conditional. If and then the past simple, and then might have a significant impact. So we've actually got quite a nice structure here, modal verb with the present perfect, on slowing climate change. On the other hand, although inexhaustible resources have their own share, and enriching the environment. What do you mean there? Although inexhaustible resources have, you'd have to be their own share in enriching the environment. Their negative impact cannot be overstated. So inexhaustible resources. You might have to put, if you're going to use that, I know what you mean, clean or renewable resources. I wouldn't say have their own share. I think that's what's going wrong here. May play, or maybe you could put here already play a role in enriching the environment. Enriching. I don't think it's enriching. I think it's just improving. Yeah. Improving the environment. This structure with although is brilliant, but you must get it right. It's very, very difficult. I would recommend you kind of write yourself 10 sentences. I mean, if you want, just write 10 sentences and send them to me quickly and I'll check them for you. But it is good to use, but you must use it correctly. Its negative impact cannot be overstated. Good. But I'd like to see here negative impact on something, or it's not really the negative impact you're talking about its reliability. Or maybe its potential unreliability. Its potential unreliability cannot be overstated. That would work. Okay, so just have a look at that carefully. Make sure you're really happy about how that sentence works. There are a number of people who claim that such energy forms are less reliable and are dependent. Yeah, maybe you could say even over-dependent on unpredictable weather conditions. As a result, clean energy often facilitates electricity failure and a supply of electricity is disrupted. I would go triggers failure. If you facilitate something, you make it easier, which is kind of sometimes a good thing. Here I would say it triggers it, which is suggesting that it's not necessarily a good thing. Furthermore, governments, plural, I'd go there, can mitigate the problem by creating buffer stock, by building new technologies such as rainwater harvesting, which would be advantageous. You need to go into a relative clause here. Lovely long sentence, but again, read it through and then you can see what's happening here. So, governments can mitigate the problem by creating buffer stock, and maybe you don't need buy. Just go building new technologies such as rainwater harvesting, now, which would be advantageous in areas where rainfall is high. Okay, that works, but you definitely need to come into the relative clause structure here. Okay, this stored water could be used to generate, and I'm really much happier with could or might. It just works better because you're suggesting it. Please remember these little tricks which can help when there's a shortage of continuous supply. To conclude, I believe the usage of alternative resources is a financially sound and eco-friendly option. Absolutely. That is a really, really lovely essay. You've done so well there. The quality of your writing is really, really excellent. It's a difficult topic, isn't it? But you've got a lot of vocab in there, which is what I was looking out for. You've used the vocab really nicely. The structure is really good. You've answered the question. Just those little things on the grammar to have a look at before your exam. As I say, just do a bit of practice on that, and you can always send me a few sentences if you want to just show me what you're doing. Okay? I love this letter. It's good. So, hi, I'm, yes, you could put that. Hi, I'm Sayali, your next door neighbour, writing to express my concern with regards to your dogs. He barks the whole day, literally. You would say that in speaking. In writing, you need to put it there. Okay, we say it when we speak, and I would go a little bit softer here. Unfortunately, he literally barks the whole day. Full stop. Watch out on this punctuation. Okay, it is important. You will lose marks on punctuation if a couple of mistakes is okay, but more than that, no. I intended to write you a few days ago, but waited patiently. Good. I was hoping Bruno might stop barking at night, and this would save me. This would save me from writing this maybe awkward letter, because it is a difficult letter to write, isn't it? This awkward letter. Don't get me wrong, and you know how much I love dogs, but I like that. Well done, don't get me wrong, fantastic, but you need to have a but in here. Really good structure there. I'm having a hard time sleeping at night and concentrating on my studies because of abrupt barking, because of disruptive, loud, maybe, abrupt or sudden. You could have abrupt or sudden. I wouldn't have abrupt on its own. Lovely word, but it doesn't quite go with barking, I don't think. But these ones do. As you know, it's important for me to get a good night's sleep, as I'm my last semester and must perform well. Good. So I'd like to request you to spend some time, good, well done, you got that right, in training the dog and seeking medical help if necessary. Absolutely. I don't think you need to put that there. We kind of got the idea. Alternatively, you could get, like everyone else in the world, you could get a mask. Sorry, poor dog. During odd hours. Odd hours. During working hours. During occasional hours. Or maybe just occasionally. I think maybe occasionally. Yeah? So it won't disturb me as well as the... Okay. So this is a kind of conditional as well. So you could, again, you're making a suggestion. You could, so it wouldn't. I definitely work this as a conditional. So it wouldn't disturb me, comma, as well as others in our neighbourhood. Yeah? So think of all the opportunities where you can show amazing grammar. But that's a lovely letter. Well done. I wouldn't do yours sincerely at the end, though, because yes, you're correct, technically correct, but because you're their neighbours, so it's assumed that you might put best regards, something a little bit more friendly. I would personally, if it was me, I'd put kind regards, which I think is kind of a bit more friendly. Okay, but really, really nice. Good letter. It's been a pleasure working with you, and really good luck in your exam. Really hope it goes well, and just come back to me this week if you've got any extra questions, and go back over the corrections again before you take your test. Really good luck.